Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sports Card Madness. This is LZ, and I am here with Nick. And Nick, we haven't caught up in a while, and a lot has been going on,
Few
specifically
things.
CT scanning. You and I have not chatted about CT scanning, so let's definitely spend some time talking about that. And then we just had a massive hobby sports show that just happened with Fanatics Fest. And while we didn't go, you and I definitely paid attention from afar and had some FOMO. But we can go over just kind of instant reactions. What do we think about Fanatics Fest? A few things that I definitely want to address when we're talking about the CT scanning. We will address the 10 minutes that we talked about that got cut
hmm
from our episode. So we'll definitely address that. And there's certainly been a lot of feedback, mostly positive. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Where do we start with CT scanning?
First of all, I honestly didn't expect this to get as crazy as it did. I think I had a reel on Instagram hit like 1.2 million views, which is absurd, right? I have like 7,000 followers or something like that.
Mhm.
And it made me realize how big of an issue this is for the hobby and how passionate people are about the CT scanning. And I want to make it clear I'm not for CT scanning stuff. The only reason I'm doing it now is quite literally to demonstrate what's possible because we know that this has already been happening.
Mm.
um, the way I feel, and we'll talk about the 10 minutes in a minute. I know you want to address that.
Yeah.
I just want to say
Hmm.
a few things in general about CT scanning before we go there. So, okay, I've been in business for a very long time. I've got the MBA, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but I have read thousands of case studies on industries across time, and I've read about numerous disruptions. And let me tell you something very clearly. If you are hearing certain people say that this won't affect 99% of the hobby, that is 100% dead wrong. That is the right now at this exact moment that may be true, but I'm telling you this is going to change the hobby forever. This is the ultimate disruption. Sure, $75 a pack right now. What is it in 2 years? How long does it take until this machine is 50 grand, 20 grand, 10 grand?
Hmm.
Not just that, but even right now, you could get a case of 2012 Prism. You could probably negotiate a $500 scan. It will see every gold because they have serial numbers. It will see every sticker auto. There is no secret whatsoever. And then you could just turn around and flip that thing. So that's going to shatter everything. I think I'm gonna actually coin it now. I think we're going to have the great ripping. Okay. I think the
Point
great
it.
ripping.
Love it.
It,
Hashtag great ripping.
if you are sitting on wax now, you have a very tough decision. You
Hmm.
could try to game this out and see if, hey, okay, well, let's just see what happens with the prices, see if this tech is really a thing, or you can be prudent and just rip it, man. And that stuff was kind of meant to be in the hobby anyway. I'm not a big like stashing wax guy, partly because I just open it. But I mean, the people who own like fractionalized shares of certain cases and stuff, this is a shit show. Right
Mm.
now, yes, it's high end and it's limited in a certain way. In 5 years, don't kid yourself. This is
No.
everything. And it's all about detection. So I just want people to understand how serious this is before we talk a little bit more about the video and the interview I did and the missing stuff.
Yeah, Nick, you're, it's spot on, right? As you were talking about the fact that this will become a real thing, and it may take like 5 years, like you said. I was trying to think of some ideas or some examples that the audience can relate this to, and two that come to mind was 2007 iPhone comes out. That thing was what? I don't know, $1,500, I think,
Yeah.
when it came out.
It was a
And
joke at first.
you had the Nokia, you had Nextel, you had Palm Pilot, these three like Blackberries, you had Blackberries, these four like big phone tech companies. And everybody said, like, who's gonna like first off, the iPhone was only available on AT&T to begin with, and like who's gonna move over to AT&T? Who's gonna pay $1,200, $1,500 for this phone? Fast forward to 2024. Come on, everybody. Like,
Yeah. It,
this is absolutely a thing. The other example I thought of was, and this one actually hits home even more because I was definitely in this camp when TikTok came out. What was everybody saying when TikTok came out? Oh, this is just some silly app that people go on and do like crazy dances on. Now, how many people are addicted to TikTok and
Right.
spend hours and hours every day just scrolling on it?
Right. And you're talking about platform disruption, which is
Mm-hmm.
huge, right? So the iPhone became a platform for billion-dollar companies like Uber that literally can't exist without a supercomputer that tracks GPS. But now you have one, right? And it's subsidized at first. That's how the game's always played. And
Mm-hmm.
now you have to pay for it. This is actually technological disruption. It's a better mousetrap is the way to say it, but in the hobby's case, it's a worse mousetrap.
Yeah.
I mean, something has come along to make something obsolete that used to be secure. It is
Mm-hmm.
now not. I think of your experience in cybersecurity and the dance that you do all the time with you have a firewall that's hacker proof until there's a guy in
Until it's
Russia
not.
that until it's
Until it's
not,
not.
right? Until
Yeah.
it's not. And then
Yeah.
what do? You make a
Mm-hmm.
better one.
Mm-hmm.
They make a better hacker. And it's this dance till the end of
Sure.
time. And
Yeah.
that is what has started now with
Mm-hmm.
the hobby. The key here is going to be detection. You are absolutely going to need something that detects the level of radiation a CAT scan can produce, which is about 100 times an X-ray. And it's fascinating. We talked with Nat Turner, a little teaser on
Mm-hmm.
August 30th. We have an episode dropping with Nat where we talk about everything at PSA. We talk about this for like 10 minutes with him. And his first quote was, not to soundbite him, but he's like, this is awesome in the sense that it's a disruption and it's
Yes.
going to be cool to see what the hobby does to
Mm-hmm.
respond.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the world we live in. It's capitalism, and you're going to find capitalism always finds a way. So now they
Sure.
have a service to do this. That service is going to get cheaper. It's going to go wider. And we could all cry about it. Like the horse and buggy people cried about the motor. But at the end of the day, it's much better to understand what we're dealing with and then address it and then find ways around it and find ways to protect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cost. I mean, one of the things I've been hearing feedback wise is the cost. Right, this thing costs $1 million. Like, it's just not economical for anybody to have this. They're going to make a cheaper, smaller version of this. Right. If you think about these CT scans, like if anyone has actually had a CT scan in a hospital or something like that, those are big, big
Yeah.
machines. Right.
Huge.
You look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that thing costs $1 million easily. Right.
Oh yeah.
But you don't need those big, massive
That's not
machines
what
for
this
what we're
is.
talking about.
And here's another thing. You want to talk
Yeah.
about fractionalized ownership, right? I'm
Mm.
sure everybody listening has a pop-up like quick healthcare type place in their town, if not two or three in their region,
Mm.
right? They're just popping up quickly. They don't have CAT scans. They have X-rays. Fair enough. CAT scans are reserved for hospitals and technical places. But honestly, what if there's we just had Steward Medical Group go out of business.
Yeah.
Steward
In
Medical Group,
Massachusetts. Yeah.
they
Mm.
own CAT scans. What if they fractionalized the time and sold the time by the hour to use these CAT scans as another revenue stream? I'm just totally thinking of crazy stuff like you if you are poo-pooing this and think it's nothing, like you have no idea what is about to happen. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have no idea. This
Mm-hmm.
is how business works. It's how capitalism works. It's going to get real. I'm telling you. This is
Yeah.
a seismic shift.
Mm-hmm. All right, so
All right.
let's
You want
get
to
to
talk
the
about
actual
you
let's
want to
get
talk
to
about
the
the
actual
episode,
episode. Yeah, let's get to the episode. Let's get to
the 10
the 10
minutes.
minutes that we cut. Um I want to make it very clear to the audience. Okay, very clear. Nick did the interview. Insanely excited after the interview. Um Posted just some kind of Instagram media posts around this is what's coming, everybody. This is what you have to look forward to. And I pulled him aside and I said, let me hear this kind of 10-minute section of it. And I heard it. And I said to him, Nick, we cannot play just this piece of it. And it really just came down to like almost like beyond a reasonable doubt. Like there was definitely some great information in there, but it was kind of like, can we verify it enough? And we felt like beyond a reasonable doubt, we couldn't kind of verify it enough.
I
So
wanted to be 100% after I
yes,
spoke with you. So
yeah.
I am guilty of getting too excited. So the
Mm-hmm.
other thing that happened was when I did that Instagram live, I was told that there was evidence that was more solid than what I had received.
Mm-hmm.
And when I received it, it was it pointed in a couple of places circumstantially and in a certain direction, but I am not going to ever air anything that's not 100% smoking
No,
gun. And
no.
that's how I felt about it. And I let you make the call, as I do many
Mhm.
times. You're a good goalie, and you made the call. And I still felt like it was a useful episode. We still have the 10 minutes. If evidence comes to light that gets a little clearer, and to be fair, in that week leading up to this, you guys have to the audience, you have no idea what I was dealing with. LZ's got a full-time job in
Mm.
cybersecurity. I was dealing with this, I was hooked up with the top people in our industry.
Yeah.
I'm talking the top people at Fanatics. There was an ex FBI agent involved in this.
Mm.
There was a lot of moving parts. It was a lot more complicated than you all think from the comment section. And if
Yeah.
you had a 20-minute conversation with me about this, you'd probably get a much clearer perspective of what actually happened.
Hmm.
But again, the 10 minutes is still there if I ever need it to form evidence around something else that I receive. And I have a feeling I will, stuff starting to come to light. So
Yeah, and you know
we
what,
shall
Nick?
see.
I mean, just to be fair to us and to you, like this stuff happens. Like any of the major news stations that do interviews, like this happens from time to time where, they're pushing to get evidence on X, Y, and Z, and they put it out there, and it just doesn't come in at the time. But to your point, sometimes it comes out later. So maybe this will come out later, but for now, we have a reputation. We have a responsibility to the folks we interview. We have a responsibility to the overall hobby as well. Just to not kind of, let's call, I don't know, you could call it slander
Yeah, not
certain
doing that.
individuals, right? We're not doing that.
Nope.
So
And I
yeah.
never in that live, I never in that live said specifically I was going to call people out.
Mm,
I actually was just flummoxed and was like, I can't believe what I just heard. I never
mm,
said I'm going to call out A, B, C, and D and have like a witch hunt.
mm.
So the fact that that was implied was a little strange, although I might have if it was 100%.
Yeah.
And if it does ever get to 100%, we probably will.
Yeah.
So you
We
can feel
definitely will.
comfortable there.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
back to the hobby, like we owe it to the hobby to
Yeah.
to let that out. If
I don't
if
want
we
to
ever.
see I don't want to see the hobby trashed. I don't want to
Hmm.
see wax get
Hmm.
destroyed.
Hmm.
Um, but it's going to get destroyed
Yeah.
now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Except vintage.
Yeah.
All
Vintage is
right.
safe, we think. So, all
Anything
right.
else on CT scans before we just beat
No,
that dead horse?
no, we beat it, beat it,
All
beat
right.
it. We're good.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to a positive thing. Let's
Mhm.
talk about Fanatics Fest. Wow. What an incredible experience and a show and all that. I'm curious on your thoughts, and then I'll give my thoughts
Mhm.
afterwards. I mean, we were watching him from afar this past weekend. What were your overall thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I've spoken to, I would say a dozen
Mm,
collectors, vintage, modern, different people in the industry, and I wanted to get their direct experience. So I probably spoke to each of these either through text or voice or whatever for probably 10 or 15 minutes each. There were a few themes that were very interesting. So I was actually really excited about Fanatics Fest. I think it's awesome. I think we should just have more and more and more shows in general.
mm,
I really wanted it to do well. So it's just a really cool concept anyway, and I love that it was in New York. So one common thread was that it felt like 80% fan experience, sports, hype, fun, and 20% cards. Um, Another thread, it was a lot of families. So the parents brought the kids to see
hmm.
Gronk, to run a 40-yard dash, to like watch Travis Scott do like a few seconds of his song. And then they moseyed over to the card section. So I actually think this was, if you think about marketing, right, this was a really good top of funnel exercise, like a PR campaign for awareness. Now we get to see how many did we convert to our cult,
Yeah.
of the hobby.
Yeah.
Um, some
Yeah.
other thoughts that were interesting to me. It did seem very crowded. It's funny. Like I didn't expect the fanfare that I saw through Instagram and on YouTube. It felt to me like there was a chill show and that was the
Mhm.
baseline, and then Travis Scott shows up and 10,000 people lose their
Wow.
minds, and
Yeah.
then the next person shows up at 2 and the next one shows up at 8 and they're all cosplaying. I think it was pretty dope. A little crowded for me, I'm not a huge fan of like the like,
Well, it was
you know,
yeah, I mean it's interesting because it's the Javits Center. Like that's a big,
big
big
place.
conference center. I mean, the only thing I guess I attribute it to just like the New York City factor, right?
Yeah,
Like
huge.
if they had this, like it'd be interesting the Orlando show, although I don't think the Orlando show is going to be like this. I think that one's going to be more cards. But it'll be interesting to see like a place that's not a major metropolitan city, like how many people are going to
Right.
gravitate
Would this
towards
be
it.
the same case in Omaha?
Yeah.
Um,
Or would it be the same case in like LA? Because LA is not a big metropolitan city. Yeah, it's a big,
right.
big city, but um, I just yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So that's something to look out for.
Right. Yeah, I think it was overall, I think it's great. I'm sure they'll do it again.
Mm,
And I imagine their strategy here is like Six Flags to Disney. You know, Disney's in a couple places and Six Flags is in like a lot more.
sure.
I think, you've got the national, which is its thing, and it's probably more 80% cards and 20% experience.
Hmm.
This is the other 80/20. And I think you'll probably see one on the West Coast. Maybe
Yeah.
we get one. I think Miami is probably a solid
Yep.
candidate
Well,
for another
they're
one.
doing one in LA.
Oh, there you go.
That
All
was
right.
announced.
I
Or I
didn't
don't know if it
see.
was announced. I think it's more of a rumor, but a good rumor.
That's
One
gonna go
that's
well. And
yeah, yeah,
this
the
is
Los
all good
Angeles one
stuff.
will.
It's all good stuff for the
Yeah.
hobby. It's more exposure, more
Yeah.
top of funnel.
Mm.
You have
I
to
was trying
pick.
to think of an analogy, and what I would equate it to is like so you had drama romantic movies, and then you have comedies.
Okay.
And it's like, so maybe the comedy is the hobby, comedy movies. And the romance movies are like all these sports and music and all that. And it's like, you know what? Let's create a rom-com. Let's create a
Yeah.
romantic comedy and bring everybody together. And then everybody wins. And the one side gets exposure to the other, and it's a bit of everything. So
Matthew
uh,
McConaughey stars in it for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's funny because I was thinking of McConaughey as well. Um, yeah, I think it's just overall great for the hobby. I think it's overall very important for Fanatics. I mean, the amount of exposure that Fanatics, the company, got because of this with all their brands, and yeah, I just think it was a win-win for them. Um, they're reporting it as it's going to be a loss, probably is going to be a loss. I mean, the Javits Center alone, that's got to be a pretty penny to rent that out for an entire weekend.
It's a
But
long-term
who knows?
investment, right? What's the lifetime value of a child that you
Yeah.
captured there
Oh.
that buys cards for a decade?
Hmm.
So you can't. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
obviously it's a law. All businesses have a loss like that immediately. So
So, do you think that this impacts smaller card shows like your local card show?
this was so packed that I
Mm.
don't think it. I think there's more capacity. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to. Now, yes, okay. If there was a small card show in Brooklyn that weekend,
Hmm.
it's going to get smoked. You know what I
Might be an
mean?
uptick. Yeah.
Or even probably
Or
like,
you're saying the reverse. It's gonna steal from yeah.
yeah,
But I don't think it's gonna impact it either, right? I've heard like titles coined like this is the death of the small card shows, and it's like no, it's not.
no
It's
chance.
so different.
It's
It's
something
so
else we
different.
need.
Yeah.
You need Chinese food, you need
Mhm.
pizza, and you
Yeah.
need chicken wings. Oh, do you want to
If the
remove one of
national
those?
Nick, if the
Like,
national didn't destroy the local card shows, like this isn't because
no chance.
this was just different.
This is
It was just
so
different.
different. Like it's
Yeah.
beyond. It's a
Mm.
whole different like animal.
All right,
So
give me your top. I'm putting you on the spot. You don't know that we're going to talk about this. Give me your top two or three things that you saw on Instagram this past weekend at the show that you're like, oh
like
wow,
instantly that got me. All
yeah.
right.
What do we got?
You're sitting in a breakout room and the top rapper right now or entertainer right now
Mm,
just breaks out a song.
yeah.
Like, whoa, okay. Like Travis Scott just goes off.
Hmm.
And that was like being there would have been bonkers. So that was number one.
Okay,
Number
Travis Scott
two,
won. Yep.
number two was Grant Williams, our ex Celtics boy.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
pulls non-cat scanned. Kidding,
Mm,
kidding, kidding. He yanks a rookie patch auto of Luca, like a nice looking patch
hmm.
too.
Hmm.
$500,000 card out of a 10.5. I think he paid for the case,
Yep.
and that was awesome, man. And then the third one
Third.
was my boy DeCaptain. I think it's like DeCap. Forget the number at the end. He's a Tom Brady collector. He lives relatively close to
He
us.
does, yeah.
Tom Brady swung by his table and talked about his autograph for like 10 minutes and how it evolved. How he
And he
wanted to,
bought some.
yeah, and he wanted to sign like his father at first. That's why it looks like that. Then he
Yeah.
changed it to a B. And I messaged him. I'm like, dude, how'd you not crap your pants, man? Like that's like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And he's like, I usually am a very calm guy, but man, I had a tough time with that one.
Yeah, I'm sure he
So
did.
those are the top three for me. It was really
Okay.
cool.
All right. For me, Brady and Gronk dressing up as one another and walking around caught
I
my
didn't see
eye.
that.
Yeah, they each put on each other's uniform with the helmet, and they each had like a shield on the helmet, so you didn't know who's
Okay.
who. So you had like people like chasing after Brady, but it really wasn't Brady. It was Gronk in the uniform, right? So I thought that was funny. They seemed to have a good time, both of those guys at the show, and they were kind of all around. Um, I thought Livy Dunn going in disguise and buying her boyfriend's card, Paul Skeens, buying it was just funny. She went up to a table and she's like,
I didn't see that
"What?
either.
Like, who's this random like Skeens guy? Like, he's a pitcher? Like, why is this pitcher card like worth so much money? Like, I'm not paying that much for it." But she
Awesome.
ended up buying a couple. I thought that was funny. Um, and then the other one, which I think is just good for the hobby, and it was a little bit of drama. Then, I think it turned out to be fine. But the bounties that are going on, right? You had
Yeah.
you had Jeff Wilson. I think it was like the day before the show, maybe came out with his bounty around that triple autograph. And then you had Ken Golden like the day of the first show, coming out and basically trumping Jeff. And there was this bit of friction, I think, the first day, but then towards the end, they were hugging it out. But I think just overall, something like that, that's good for the hobby. I think it's
Yeah.
great that you have companies like competing against each other with bounties, especially, the two of them. I mean, they're kind of big in the hobby space. So I thought that was interesting, a little bit of drama on the weekend. Um I did see can I add a fourth? Because this was a kind of a
All
cool
right.
thing.
I'm gonna let you have one
All
more
right,
before we
one
wrap.
more. You had Tyson up on stage with Jake Paul,
Oh yeah.
and there was like a ton of hecklers, like heckling Paul, like you suck, like just like really going at him. And of all people, Mike Tyson like chimed in and is like, everybody, you need to calm down and like be respectful. And I was like, oh my God, Mike Tyson is saying, you need to be respectful. So I thought that was cool.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I think it was overall good for the hobby,
Hmm.
and it'll be cool to see how it progresses from here.
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be really interesting. We'll have to keep track of these last couple. Um, I got a totally random question for you to
Oh
end it.
boy. Oh boy.
Random.
Here we go.
Um, this came up in discussion today. I know me and you are music people. All right. So it's
Uh-huh.
gonna be a music question, Nick.
Okay.
Who is the greatest US rock band?
All time or
In
right now?
all time. US
Oh.
based. Got to be born and raised in the US.
And it has to be like pure rock and roll or
Yeah, let's not include grunge because grunge that I already know who it would be if we did grunge, and I knew you were going there. We're not doing grunge. Pure rock and roll.
that makes me
It
really
it
sad.
pains me to say that because I would include grunge in this, but for this one, I
There's
want to
some
make it difficult for you.
there are some great yeah, okay. All right. Man, okay, because immediately I would say, yeah, Nirvana, Pearl
Yes.
Jam, Alice in
Yeah, of course.
Chains, and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right, so we ratchet this back. Okay. We've got some people that were in amazing bands, right?
Hmm.
So the Hendrix had Jimi
Sure.
Hendrix and the Experience. Like
Experience. Hmm.
I play guitar. He's like the best guitarist ever. You start thinking of the British bands, right? It's like the
I know.
Beatles, the Who,
Led Zeppelin, the
Led
Stones.
Zeppelin,
They're all
the
over there, man.
Stones. And
Yeah,
then
they're
it's
all
like,
across the
all
pond.
right, so who came out of the US? And then you start with the birth of rock and roll, right?
Hmm.
Like it really starts with Johnny Cash. Like Elvis and Johnny Cash, like they
Hmm.
kind of like
Hmm.
start this thing with an electric guitar slash acoustic guitar. It evolves. It turns into the Beach Boys, and then like this kind of up
Yeah,
and coming stuff, and we're
yeah.
getting there. But I don't think I would call the Beach Boys
No,
rock and roll, right? Nobody's gonna do that.
no, I would. I mean, it's kind of subtle rock and roll, but it's like, yeah. I mean, you could. I would let you. I would let you take the Beach Boys if you wanted.
That's a pretty epic band. It's sleeper band for
Yeah,
like the goats. I
yeah.
mean, some of the most creative production you'll
Mm-hmm.
ever have in like a music ensemble. And you think of that voice was like seven people,
It
perfectly
was.
harmonized.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
You do
Mm-hmm.
two nowadays or something like that. All right, so now we're going with the Beatles, and now we start getting into the fun, LSD era of
Yeah.
just like
Mm-hmm.
Woodstock and the Santanas of the world. And oh my God,
Do you want me to throw? Because I'm obviously prepared for this question. I can
yeah.
throw out some examples for
All
you.
right.
The
Give
Eagles.
Man,
Okay.
another
The
great
Eagles. Oh man,
harmonizing band.
for sure. You have like the Allman Brothers. You have Leonard Skinnerd.
I'm actually gonna pick this one because I've got the vinyl right there. Um, Fleetwood Mac, man, just
Oh, Fleetwood
amazing.
Mac is so good.
So I'm gonna go with that because they
Fleetwood Mac.
that
Yeah.
album Rumors,
Rumors.
at that time period, at least for
So
that
good.
decade,
Yeah.
it's just obnoxiously good.
Yeah.
Like the guitar skill there is
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like the finger picking skill, stuff people just can't do it nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly difficult. Like Landslide's like an amazing, like it's just a great band. So I'm going with kind of a sleeper pick. I'm going with that one.
Yeah, that is a bit of a sleeper pick in a
Fleetwood Mac.
way. Kind of is.
What would you
All right.
do?
The most successful US band is Aerosmith. They are the most successful. I mean, I heard that stat like 4 years ago. I don't think anybody's overtaken them in the past 4 years. So they are the most successful. Um, I I kind of think I would maybe even give it to them. I think I would.
Yeah,
Um,
longevity, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
like it. The Eagles, though, man, that's legit. We saw them
Yeah. Eagles
together.
Eagles would be top three
Yeah,
for me.
they're
Yeah.
nasty. Great,
Yep.
great band.
All right. So
Cool.
that
All right.
came up in conversation today at work, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask Nick. I'm gonna ask Nick this one.
So for the audience, we might start doing this. We're going to make it interesting at the end. We feel like our ending isn't very great on our shows. So we might do something where, I'm just going to I'm going to let LZ ask me anything or vice versa at the end. And I think
Yeah.
that'll
Yeah.
keep us
No
entertained.
preparation.
Yeah,
No
nope. I did not
no
have prep
prep.
for that.
No,
I
you
had to
didn't.
look over at my vinyl for a minute. Oh, the Doors. Oh, the Doors, man. It's like,
I don't
I'm
think not
sticking with
enough
it.
longevity with the Doors,
Yep,
I
I
don't
hear
think.
you. Fleetwood
Yeah.
Mac. I'm going with it.
All right.
All right. I think that's the pod, right?
All right, let's cut it. That's
Cool.
it.
Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
bye everybody.